In this video, I'm going to go over mole conversions. Last video, I went over molar mass, and you learned how to add up the mass of each element, multiply it by however many elements there are, and you get a total mass for a compound. That total mass that you get is called the molar mass, and what it means is that's the mass of 1 mole of that substance, of that compound. Now what that allows us to do is go from grams to moles. If I know how many grams are in 1 mole of the substance, I could easily figure out how many grams are in 2 moles, or 3 moles, or a half of a mole. So that's what it's really useful for. And at this point, you should know what a mole is, but you're not going to really figure out or use moles in a very useful way this chapter yet. This is an introduction to moles. So if you're still wondering what are the moles for, why do I need to learn how to convert to moles, again, that's a question that'll be answered in a few months, actually. When you take trimester 2, depending if it's winter or spring. So we're going to do some sample problems. This is where the fun begins. So the question is, how many moles are contained in 34.5 grams of dihydrogen monoxide? Now, hold on here, let me actually hit the pen. Okay, I'm still recording. Perfect, it's working. So how many moles? The first thing you need to know is dihydrogen monoxide. Di means 2, hydrogen, so H2, and then monoxide, 1 oxygen. It's just water. That's the fancy word for water. No one actually uses it, but it's fun. Now, H2O, in order to convert from grams to moles, I need to know how many grams are in 1 mole of water. So I got to take H and O. 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Hydrogen's mass is 1.007. Oxygen's is 15.999. So the first step is always to just find the molar mass. Now this is 2.014, 15.999. Let's put the decimal there. And you end up with 18. Would this be 013 if I'm doing my math right? And that's grams per mole. Now I did that in my head. If it's a little off, don't worry about it. We'll just roll with it here. Now to actually set these up, so this is nothing new. What I just did here is nothing new. You find the molar mass of water. Now this tells me how many grams are in 1 mole. Well, if I look here, 34 is bigger than 18. So I definitely have more than 1 mole of water. Well, how many more than 1 more? That's the question. So I take, just like my unit conversions, I take the mass, grams of water, started at the top. Put the substance there as well, so grams of water. Then you bring grams of water down. You always take your units down because we want to cancel that, and we want to go to moles of water. Now, at some point a long time ago in one of the previous videos, I had told you that hint mole equals 1. Now we're going to bring that back. I told you to just put that in your back pocket, save it for later. Now is later. We're going to use that. So I got grams on bottom, moles on top. The 1 always goes with the mole. Now how many grams of water are in 1 mole? That's what goes down here. How many grams? Well, we already figured that out. It's 18.013. So I put 18.013 on bottom. And all I simply do now is I take, just like unit conversion, 34.5 divided by 18.013. And I get an answer of 1.915. So I'll actually write this out, 1.915, 283, all sorts of good decimal numbers here. But I got to go back. I got 3 sig figs to work with. Yeah, sig figs don't go away. So I cut it off right here. The 5 makes me round up. My answer should be 1.92 moles of water. Don't get lazy, just put moles. I want to see 1.92 moles of water. Include the substance. Let's make a good habit because we'll need it later. We'll need to keep those later. Maybe not necessarily important now, but for later it'll be important. Okay, next question. What is the mass? So we already know the molar mass, 18.013 grams per mole. I'm not going to make you redo that. We know it from the previous problem. So I know the mass of 1 mole of water. Well, to figure out how many are in 2.3, I just need to multiply the 2 together. But I still want to see your work. So 2.3 moles of water We write this out, take whatever you're given, put it in the top left. Then you take the units, moles of water, bring it down. And we want to go to grams of water. So I put that on top. Now, hint, mole equals 1. Get into the habit of wherever the mole is, put a 1 there. Now, how many grams are in 1 mole? 18.013 is my answer to that question. Now, moles of water cancels out. I'm left with grams of water. I take 2.3 times 18.013. I get 41.4299. Now, I only got 2 sig figs to work with, so I cut it off here. The 4 does not make me round up, so my answer is 41 grams of water. How many grams of water are in 2.3 moles? There's 41 grams in 2.3 moles. We'll do one more example. We'll skip this one. I want you to do this one on your own. Bring it to class, and I'll do another moles to mass problem. So what is the mass of 2.34 moles of aluminum nitrate? To start with, aluminum, nitrogen, oxygen. There is 1 aluminum, there is 3 nitrogens, and there's 9 oxygens. Because this 3 distributes in, 3 times 3 is 9 oxygens. 3 times 1 is 3. There's 1 nitrogen times 3. And then the aluminum has no number behind it. This 3 does not affect the aluminum because the aluminum is not in parentheses. Now I've got a quick look up. Let me pull out a periodic table here. Aluminum is 26.982. Nitrogen is 14.007. Oxygen is 15.999. Let's quick do this math. 26.982. 3 times 14.007. 42.021. And then 9 times 15.999 is 143.991. Now if I add these up, plus 42.021 plus 26.982, I get 212.994. When you're doing molar mass, don't worry about sig figs. Don't worry about sig figs for this number. That doesn't matter. What I do want to see though is 2.34 moles of AlNO32. I want you to worry about sig figs when you solve this final step now. Now you bring moles AlNO32, and then we want to go to grams of AlNO32. The mole always gets the 1. How many grams are in 1 mole? Well, I just solved that over here. It's 212.994. And again, sig figs, all I care about is that the sig figs of your first number match your final answer. So don't worry about sig figs in your conversion steps. Don't worry about sig figs for molar mass. Just match this first number to your final answer for sig figs. So I take 2.34 times 212.994, and I get 498.40596 in my calculator. I cut it off here. There's no need to round. So my answer is 498. And my units, moles of aluminum nitrate, cancel. I'm left with grams of aluminum nitrate, AlNO32. And that is my final answer to 3 sig figs. So I want you to go back, do number 6, and I believe there's 8, question 8 and 6. I want you to question 8 and 6 in your notes. We can do those in class. Maybe we'll volunteers to do it on the board if you feel confident in it. Make sure you know how to do these. We will practice these in class.